Hello and welcome to the news with Wavelength Tuition. I'm Nathan, Director of Education here at Wavelength.
And I'm Anthony, Director of Operations.
Let's take a look at what's happening across education in the UK, not just the headlines, but what they might actually mean for families.
Exactly, especially for parents trying to make sense of a system that feels like it's always changing.
Absolutely. Let's start with SEND. Proposed reforms are causing a lot of concern, with parent groups warning that changes could make it harder for children to qualify for EHCPs.
And that anxiety makes sense. The system's already under strain. Families are waiting months, sometimes even longer, just to get an initial assessment.
And that's a key point with this, isn't it? When support's delayed, children don't stop needing help, learning still has to happen in the meantime.
Which is why some parents may have to look for some interim solution.
Yeah, sometimes that's specialist input, sometimes short-term tuition, just to keep things moving while they wait. It's one of those issues that affects every family, but that doesn't necessarily affect every family, but when it does, it really matters. Okay, let's move on. The next thing is, or another story getting a lot of attention, is VAT on private school fees. New figures show the impact isn't even across the country.
Yeah, we're hearing very different experiences depending on where people are from.
Absolutely. So places like London and the home counties, Kent and Sussex, families are reassessing whether private education is still viable.
And for some families, that means they could be looking to switch all the way back to the state sector.
Yeah, absolutely. And quite often families are finding a balance between state tuition and supplementing that with tuition as well, particularly if children are midway through exams and parents want that continuity. And for most people, these are practical financial decisions rather than philosophical ones. Yeah. So the next story looks at children before they even reach school age. And there's a new pilot in England running, which offers routine childhood vaccinations in the home, aimed at improving uptake before school.
Yeah, this comes after concerns due to falling vaccination rates, especially with children under 5 years old.
Absolutely, and schools are increasingly aware of this because health and readiness really do affect early learning and attendance and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one of those behind the scene factors that people don't initially link to education, but can affect things like attendance.
Yeah. And early years support comes in lots of forms. Reading is another area getting a lot of attention. The government has announced that 2026 is the National Year of Reading, with a focus on literacy and reading for pleasure.
So, isn't this just about decoding?
No, it's about enjoyment, it's about confidence, it's about habit building. There's a lot of studies that link the number of books in a parent's home to how well the kids do at GCSE and beyond. So parents will likely see more school challenges, book initiatives, library collaborations, encouraging their kids to learn or their kids to read at home.
Yeah, this all sounds great, but what if a child is falling behind in reading and they're struggling?
So early support can help with that. The earlier support happens, the bigger impact it's going to have over the long term, and the less pressure later on. And with these early reading initiatives, we're going to be able to spot those problems much quicker. So for many families, reading confidence is something they're already thinking about. And another big topic at the moment is mobile phones in schools. More schools are moving towards full mobile phone bans, with Edinburgh proposing a citywide ban approach.
Yeah, some parents must welcome it, thinking their child's going to concentrate better, but others may be uneasy, wondering how they can get in contact if an emergency happened with their child.
Yeah, I completely understand both of those. It's difficult, isn't it? Schools have to balance, like you said, focus and behaviour, but parents are always going to worry about safety and communication, and it's just trying to strike that balance. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be another example of schools trying to manage children's attendance and behaviour in a very distracted world.
Yeah, it is a tricky balance. Everything pulling in different directions. Speaking of balance, the idea of a 4-day school week has reached Parliament after a large petition.
Yeah, that surprised me and a number of people I know as well.
It did. But it does reflect real concerns about workload, stress, and well-being.
Yeah, it'd be great to see how our school system compares to other countries in the world.
It would. So a 4-day school week is already being adopted or trialled in a variety of places around the world. So in the USA, there's over 2,000 districts which are trialling it, which I'm surprised by. France, it's local choice. Australia, Iceland, Japan, all of these places are trying it out, and the idea is obviously it's going to have really good well-being impacts. However, the week is structured, those early years remain crucial, which brings us on to our next topic, which is childcare. So thousands of new school-based nursery places are being planned for 2026.
This sounds like a massive relief for working parents.
Absolutely, and it will also help those kids settle into those school routines a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and then that means the transition into reception must be easier as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once children are in school, one of the biggest foundations for learning is simply being there, which leads us to our next topic, which is attendance. This is a slightly surprising one. A study has shown that texting parents about missed days significantly improves attendance.
I didn't believe this at first because it sounds too simple.
It does, but it does work because, I mean, obviously you're letting the parents know, but you're doing it in a non-confrontational way and it's immediate.
Yeah, attendance is so important as well because there's a massive drop in grades if pupils don't attend at least 90%, 96% of their school time.
Yeah, absolutely. And those gaps, even that 4%, those gaps add up quickly. And that's when families quite often will start to look for extra help to catch up and things like that. Attendance is one of the first things that schools notice when things aren't quite right. Okay, one of our next topic is rising SEND costs. So SEND spending continues to rise. This is particularly important because demand is growing faster than the funding is.
Yeah, it sounds like councils are under even more pressure than before.
Absolutely, and that's why reform of the system keeps coming back into the conversation.
But on a personal level, the families just end up waiting longer and longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever happens, people are facing massive wait times, and that's where people are turning to flexible support such as tuition while they either navigate the system or wait for the system to catch up to them. And our final story for today, this is very good news that affects household budgets directly. It is that free school meals are being expanded to all families that are on universal credit from 2026.
This is a massive win, and I think it makes a difference not only to the parents but the child as well.
Absolutely, it's going to help with costs, concentration, well-being, behaviour will get better in schools because there'll be less hungry, cranky children. Previously, the bar for getting free school meals was really, really low, and so to see it raise is really, really good, and everyone will see the benefits of that. So there is a lot happening and a lot for parents to take in.
And that looks different for every family.
Absolutely. So if you need any help or any advice with your child's education, you can get in touch with us here at Wavelength Tuition. Thanks for watching.
Bye.